Let's go there, where everyone is blind, where no one recognizes our caste. Those lines are part of a much longer poem by a gentleman who lived in the 16 and 1700s, Bulleh Shah. Bulleh Shah. And he was a Sufi mystic and a poet and a person who looked at society inside out. And he, my kitty is coming here asking for breakfast. Okay. And so, he came from the Indian culture where caste is a thing, was a thing, and still can be. But you know, that word can go for a lot of things that we might paint a brush over ourselves and our brothers and sisters on this planet. There is an ethical philosophy called contractarianism. And if I wasn't having so much fun calling myself by other names, I probably would confine myself to that idea and label myself that way. But there's a thought experiment that you do in contractarianism. You imagine yourself sitting in a room with other people, with really the whole world. There's a room big enough for the whole world, but you can imagine it with smaller people, like 7 different people. And you know that everyone is a human being, but you don't know anything else about them. You don't know if they're men or women. You don't know if they're rich or poor. You don't know what their skin color is. You don't know what their background is. You don't know anything about them. And together, without knowing anything about each other, you make a contract for the functioning and the rules of society. And what this does is the kind of rules that you make, knowing things about each other, like the color of your skin, or if you're rich or poor, or if you're this religion or that religion. If we make rules about things like that, there's a certain set of rules. And maybe they're not so loving and just. But if we don't know anything about each other and we just want to benefit ourselves, we do want to benefit ourselves with these rules. But it turns out that benefiting ourselves is benefiting others, because if you're sitting in a room with people and you don't know who they are, it might be your mom. Your mom might be in that room. So what kind of rules? But you don't know which one of the 7 or which one of the 7 billion is your mom. So what kind of rule would you make to make sure that your mom was okay, or to make sure that you were okay? And because you don't even know which one you are. You don't know the parts that everybody's playing. Anyway, I hope that's clear as mud. And you can look up contractarianism and that thought experiment, and it will probably be explained better. You know, there's actually a scripture in the New Testament talks a lot about blindness. And I actually brought it on a little post-it note here so I could say it correctly, but I really loved one of the things that John wrote in his letters. He said, "He that hateth his brother," and when he says brother, he means everybody on earth, brothers and sisters and everybody. "He that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes." So if you hate your brother and sisters on this planet, you don't even know where you're going. You just can't even see. If all you can see is caste, you can't see anything else. That's the only thing that you can see. And then you can't have, you can't have what you could see. And like I said, the New Testament talks a lot about that kind of stuff. Jesus says I don't know who wrote it, but there's a saying in the New Testament about, you have eyes, but you can't see. You have eyes, but you can't see. So think about as you're meeting your neighbor, or you're meeting your somebody far away, someone from a different culture maybe, any of the characteristics that we put on ourselves. And those things are meant to be beautiful and interesting. It doesn't mean that we can't have an identity. But if you just close your eyes and someone is beaten up and left for dead on the side of the road, doesn't matter who or what she is. If someone is going to help you get up from being beaten, you're the one who's beaten and left on the side of the road, and someone's going to help you out. Doesn't matter if it's the same gender or the same religion or the same sexual orientation or the same caste or the same anything. Doesn't matter. We can help each other with. It's kind of funny because we talk about how if you have your eyes open so you can see all that stuff, you're really blind. Or if not that we can see it, but the way that we interpret it, so that we change our rules and we change the justice and the love that we have. But we can have our eyes open so we can see all that stuff, and yet we're blind. And yet if we were to close our eyes and never know exactly what's going on that way and just relate to each other as human beings and as brothers and sisters, that's when we have great sight. Isn't it kind of a paradox? Anyway, maybe use some of those ideas as you're going out into the world and as you think about how to create peace in the world. Maybe close your inner eyes sometimes to the things you think you're seeing about other people, and maybe you can just see yourself in them. Maybe that would be a place to start. All right, we'll see you. If I can turn it off.